everyone, and welcome to Tribe Circle Life podcast, where we help young people, young adults, where we help them grow with wisdom, with clarity, and with direction. And today, as you know, that we are always offering you value content. Today is another day where we are going to be diving into a conversation that every student and young professionals really needs to hear. And the topic is Beyond the Certificates, Building a Career with Purpose. I'm going to say that again. Beyond the certificates, building a career with purpose. And to answer our questions or to answer our most asked questions, we have with us an exceptional professional, Mr. Yomi Solanke, who is an audit manager in the banking and capital market sector at Forbes Mazars in the UK. And with experience working with multinational firms like KPMG and PWC, and now KPMG and WC, and he has built an inspiring journey both academically and professionally. And today he'll be helping us understand what truly shapes a meaningful and impactful career. Welcome, Mr. Yomi.
Yeah, thanks, Miracle. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, it's an honor. Yeah.
Thank you so much. To get started with, before we go into the questions proper, can you briefly just walk us through your journey from school days to career? Can you briefly walk us through your journey?
Okay, yeah, thanks. I think that's a very good question. Yeah, like Miracle said, right, my name is Yomi Solanke. Yeah, I'm from Ogun State. But yeah, to start my journey, okay, it's very hard to start, but like um I studied accounting from Olabisi Banjo University, and which I got I studied via scholarship, I think back where in my 100 level, then I was like the best in in my faculty for that year one, and they were looking for someone to sponsor. And luckily at that point in time, it was a struggle for me to really pay my school fees. So the
Mhm.
scholarship came at the very right time, and they also paid back my 100 level fee that I've already paid. So yeah, and yeah, so I was sponsored all through, and yeah, I finished also as the best graduate student, both my department and faculty. I studied accounting, and yeah, but I mean, sometimes you would think that would translate to like getting a good job immediately, but it didn't necessarily
Mhm,
translate to
mhm.
that. So yeah, I finished. I just had to go back home to Ogun State to my parents' house. But
Mm.
yeah, waiting for service. I had to stay like 8 months before I could even be called up for service. So then spent 1 year again in service, and then almost to the end of my service here, I was applying, just getting rejection mail and everything. But so I didn't get anything. So I finished service without any job, and then one of those days when I back at my parents, I just came to Lagos. I was like, you know what, let me. I applied to one job like that, and I came for the interview in on the island, which I didn't like the offer. But as I was going back home, I just saw Marina House, the building where UBA is, UAB rather, UAC rather. So and I said, let me just walk in, right? Let me just walk in. I mean, there are a lot of companies here, and I walked in, and I entered one of the finance company in there. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can
So
definitely.
yeah, so entered in one of the finance company in the building, and I just submitted my resume. And lo and behold, getting back to Ogun State that same day, the CEO of the company called me. I was like, "Oh, he saw my CV,
Wow.
uh, and he was quite impressed. And do I want to come on? Because on Friday, do I want to come on? Do I want to come on a Monday to an interview?" I was like, "Oh, okay, is that how it is?" Then, so then that's how I actually got my first job. So I went for the interview, I passed, and then I got my first job as a credit analyst. But I knew I wanted to be an auditor, right? So I was still applying to the Big Four and everything. And 2020, right, I got my first job in PWC, and which is where I
Wow.
started. And then 1 year, 9 months into PWC, I got my job with KPMG in the UK as an assistant manager. Yeah, just 1 year, 9 months afterwards. And then, yeah, and then also 1 year, 8 months afterwards, I got my manager role in Forbes
Wow.
Mazars. So that's been, yeah, my like a snippet of my career. Yeah.
Wow, that's indeed is an interesting story and inspiring one for that. And you mentioned something that you've always known that you're going to be an audit manager. When did you get to know? Did that start? Did you get to know when you were in secondary school? Have you always known, or when you met yourself working at a place?
Okay, fair enough. Interestingly, yeah, thanks for that question, Miracle. I mean, interestingly, I've always wanted to be an accountant, and this was right from primary school, actually. When I was in,
Wow.
I think I was in primary two then. And to be fair, it wasn't an auditor; it was to be an accountant. And because
Mm,
I love people that go to the banks, like all those people that work in the bank and they wear suits. So
yeah.
that was the first thing. So I really liked it, and I was like, oh, they asked me then, oh, what I said I want to be an accountant, and I nurtured that interest and everything, and then so
Mm,
entering into uni. I now got interested in audit. So I had one of my lecturer, Professor Shoyemi, Dr. Shoyemi rather. Um, it was one of the people that really made me go to like audit a lot. So I got interested in audit and I loved it. And afterwards, I was like, you know what? I think this is something I would like to, dive in and specialize in. So,
Mm,
yeah, finishing uni, I knew I would want to be in that space. And then I knew about the big four consulting firm, right? So, and I was
mm.
like, I would like to be in this space. So, yeah, it was one of those things that created that interest more. And then, yeah, and by his grace, I was able to join one of them, and then not just one, I worked with another one of them, so two of them. um yeah, that's actually how the interest really came from me. I knew I wanted to be an accountant, but because accounting is wide, right, but it got streamlined over time, right, when I was able to see
Mm.
what I'm more interested in. So yeah, that's really how the journey was for me in terms of being an auditor. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. That's a wonderful one because we know now that most of us we try to struggle. You have so many options, and even your parents will be telling you, this is what I want you to do. I'm telling myself, this is what I have passion for, and it's just so confusing. Let's get into the topic proper now. I would like to ask, in your own experience, what role does a certificate actually play in a career of success? So we have two keywords there. We have the certificate and we have the career success. What role in your own experience? I would love us just to as sincere as possible because most of us now we are kind of so much in. I just want to go to school. I want to read. I want to have my masters. I want to have this and all. But we need to really know the truth. In your own experience, what would you have to say to that?
Okay, I think the first thing I would like to clarify is, sorry, thanks for that question. But the first thing I would like to clarify is, do you mean professional certification or do you mean just certificates, either degree or professional
I would say
certification?
academic. Like I won't
Academic
even say
certification.
professional. The normal school, yeah.
Okay. Okay, very interesting. Yeah, I think it actually does play play a big role. All right. And
Mm,
what do I mean? One of the things that gets you an what's it called, to get you to the table, right, is that like without a primary degree or certification, a lot of some of the big structured organization wouldn't necessarily be able to employ you. And I'll speak to example to like the big four, right? One of the and so when I say big four, I mean the biggest four consulting firm in the world, right, which are the likes of like the PWC, the KPMG, the Ernest and Young, and Deloitte, right? They wouldn't employ you even if you don't have some minimum what's it called, uh, like qualification. For example, maybe like a 2-1 from your like with degree, or even some don't even take HND, right? That's what can get you in,
mm,
right? Or what will even make them to look at your CV in the first instance, right? So in the space that we are in,
mm,
right, it's very important that we actually try to ensure that at least we have a degree, you and you have a very good one, right? Not just a degree, right? You have a very good one. But for career success is beyond that, right? That gets you to the table, that
mm.
gets you to start the journey, right? But for career success, you then need more. Then you need to learn the skills, actually, which you can also start learning from the beginning, actually, right? By learning skills, presentation skills, networking skills, ability to be able to lead people, ability to be able to communicate, ability to be able to take ownership,
Absolutely.
take ownership of things, and
Mm-hmm.
hold your thoughts, right? I think those are very, very important things. And because the point is, if you don't know how to do some of those things, your degree is just going to get you in, and then you might not be able to have the kind of trajectory or growth you want, right? When you have the certificate or you have the
Mm,
degree, right, you need some of these other soft skills. We call it soft skills, but I mean, it's actually life skills, right? Some of these life skills that, it
yeah,
will help you to navigate around, it will help you to be able to, create opportunity for yourself. Sometimes people don't necessarily bring up opportunity, doesn't come to you, right? Sometimes you look for it. Sometimes you prepare yourself, you present yourself in a way that you can attract opportunity. So now you do that is by learning some of these other skills, right? And one of the key thing is networking. And I think a lot of Nigerians or undergrad need to really know that they need to be able to network, go for networking events, get you know open your mind, right? See things, go for things that could open up opportunities and make you meet different people, right? And
yeah,
yeah, so because one thing is that, for example, But like I said, degree is also very important. Certification is very important because how I got my KPMG in the UK offer was because I was a chartered accountant at that point in time. If I
Mm.
had not been chartered accountant, I wouldn't have gotten that job. So it's a balance of the two. So you need to be able to balance the two and ensure that you have the right certification and then you have the right skills. So I think that's it.
Mm. Wow, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. That really um give clarity as to how we see things. Because some would say that they need to, some will even tell you they don't want to go to school. Instead, they just want to go into the career or into the professional space straightforward. But I need to ask this question. What is that one myth concerning academic success that most students need to unlearn? Because, yeah, I understand the fact that we need to have this degree. We need to go to school. That is the first thing we need to have. Also, we need to, as you've mentioned, we need these soft skills, this life skill, as you name it. But what is that academic success? What is that myth that most people usually have concerning academic success that we young adults need to unlearn from your own experience? I don't know if you know of any.
Yeah, I mean, if I get your question very well, right, I think one of it is, attributing academic success directly to career success or to future success. I think they are not necessarily the same. Of course, having
Mm,
done well academically could propel your career or could propel you in life. But I think
mm-hmm,
beyond just academic success, you need to ensure that you have your mind properly refined, right? Because I've seen people that are
mm,
quite very good. They are smart. Some people that we study together, they are very good. But like, and this is not to say anything bad about them, but like they are not necessarily doing as much as they should have, or they should be doing for themselves now. And some of it is attributable to how they see the world view, right? There's something about Nigeria, right? Nigeria has limited one in perspective, like if you don't know someone here, you cannot get a job. If you don't know someone, those kind of
mm-hmm,
things, as much as that
yeah.
can be true, but I can categorically tell you that I've, as much as there is one person that gets a job by knowing someone, I've also had more than five people that got a job. Now, what I'm saying, that out of 4 out of 5 get jobs without knowing people, right? Without knowing people in
Mm,
places. So it means that you should be able to categorize yourself as you are part of that 4 out of 5 that would actually get your job without knowing people, right? So, and what does that mean? It means that you need to learn what it takes, right, to be able to translate, right, that's your academic success to life success and to career success. And some of the skills I
mm,
mentioned earlier is what is very important. So it will be ironic, it will be wrong, or it will be very futile for you to say that, oh yeah, you've done well. Okay, but Nigeria have already said that if you don't know people, you not get a job. If you are already doing yourself right, just
mm,
put yourself out there.
absolutely.
Just put yourself out there, and you'll be surprised what the world actually have for you, you know, and so there's a
Mm.
lot of opportunities. So I think that's what I would say, right, is a myth. I mean, but this is specific to young professionals, though. Yeah.
Oh wow. That is deep. Like that is so deep. Every one of us needs to hear this. Thank you so much for that. And our next question would be what practical steps what practical steps helped you transition smoothly from school into workplace? Like what are the practical steps that helped you transition smoothly? Because I think you've already mentioned some. You said networking skill, most of these life skills actually helped you. But I'd like us to be more practical. Like can you mention specifically how you were able to learn the skills, or what are the things basically that helped you transition into the workplace, the work settings?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, really. And I will start from the angle of, sometimes I think, especially mid couple of Nigerian universities don't necessarily prepare you for workspace. I feel like a lot of them are quite theoretical, right? And I think it's the onus is on an individual to
Mm,
ensure that you have opportunity to have a practical experience, right? For example, you could volunteer for, go for volunteering experiences, either with charity organization, where you could start practicing some of the things that you've learned theoretically, right? Because those are the ways that when you finally come into the job market, right, or into the into the workspace, because you've learned some of those things
Mm.
in a less in a less stressed or less expectation bound environment. You'll be able to
Mm-hmm.
carry those skills easily, and then bring it to a place where they are paying you, for you to deliver those services. So I think what people need to really do is that they should look for opportunities where now, right, where they could learn practical skills, like other volunteering. I think volunteering is very good. For example, people that are in uni now, that maybe like in their third year, they should be looking at opportunity to volunteer, to go for volunteering services, like, and things like that. Also, people should engage more in, like I said, networking activities, speaking opportunities they could have, right? Because these are the point is, if I see two of my work or my staff working with me, right? How I differentiate a performer from a non-performer is someone that either they could easily articulate their thoughts, right, to me, right? And you don't get that skills just because you know something. You need to be able to communicate
Mm-hmm.
it. So you need to find an environment where you can start, communicating your thoughts, right? Either in a small group or something. So people need to get that. It doesn't have to be until you get to a workplace before you start doing that, because those are some skills that you need to, and then relationship skills, interpersonal skills, very important. Sorry, Miracle, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the last one. So interpersonal skills, how you
Mm.
relate to people. People, workplace is made up of people. So you need to be able to know how to relate to people, how to navigate relationships and everything. So yeah, that's what I would say. I hope that
Yeah,
helps.
it's better now.
Can you hear me? Hello, Miracle, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, it's really, really answered my question. And it's even answered the next question I was going to ask. Because I was going to ask how a young person can discover where they fit professionally. But with your answer, you said that they need to put themselves in spaces where they can practicalize things, where they can, intern, volunteer, and all. So that's already answered that question, and I won't even go that to that again. But I would like to ask, what would you say to someone who feels lost even after graduating? Because you mentioned that after graduating from school, you thought that was automatically going to get you a job and all. Then you started, you sat back at home for NYC and all. But what advice are you going to tell or give to someone who feels lost after graduating from the school?
Okay, yeah, that's a very good question. And I think the advice I would give someone like that is, one, get the right network of people, right? People, the network of people that you
Mm,
have around you, like, who are the people that you are doing life together in terms of at that phase of your life? Do you have people of like minds, people that know that they also want to get job, or also do you have people you are looking up to? For example, when I finished uni, that time when I finished my NYC and I was back home applying for job, I have this my good friend Emmanuel, right, that has finished a year before me, and he had gotten job, you know, in AXA Mansard, one of the global insurance firm. So when I speak with him, because and it was my reading body it was a year senior of mine, but it was my reading body in school. So because when I speak with him, I know he had done it, right? So because I knew he did it, I
mm,
know that I can also do it. So I see the possibility, right? So if you have people like that, that you look up to, you've seen that so you need to have people like that in your corner, for example. So that's how you can get
mm,
people like that, either through LinkedIn. You could go through LinkedIn, connect with people, to people that have already done well in the field you want to be in, connect with them, and start engaging them in a way that, and also look at their life pattern. If you see those things, it can motivate you to know that actually there's still you could act there's opportunity for you here. And then get people around you. Don't get people
mm,
that will tell you that there's no job, but just go and sit down at home, don't disturb yourself, or say people like, oh, Nigeria, there's no job. No, don't get people like that. Get people that are positive minded, right? They know that there is possibility.
mm.
They know that there is job in Nigeria. They know that you can always get one for yourself if you keep at it, right? If you have those people around you and you have those
Absolutely.
energy, right? And the first one I mentioned, right? Someone you're looking up to, right? I'm sure you surely get, because for example, there are a lot of people that reached out to me through LinkedIn that I don't know from anywhere, like, and they just reached out to me and like, oh, I just
Mm,
finished NYC and I don't know what to do next. I'm like, oh, no problem. And they said they saw my profile and they wanted to, if I could advise them, and we pick up it, and some of them are in Big Four. like two of them are in, one is in PwC now,
Mm.
one is in Deloitte, right? And what I'm saying is that I don't know them
Wow.
from anywhere. I don't know them from anywhere, but they just chatted me on LinkedIn, right? What I'm trying to say is, if as as an individual, you take ownership of your future, right? Of God, you know,
Mm.
has created us, but like we also take ownership of our future, and we need to ensure that we have people that we can look up to, right?
Mm.
As like a motivation, and we have right people around us. I think that's what is needed, really. It can be discouraging. There can be a lot of
Mm.
regret mails. Please, I wouldn't say you can get a lot of
Mm.
rejection mails. Say sorry,
Yeah.
but like, don't be discouraged. Have the right people within, in your circle, and then yeah, I think
Mhm.
you would get there. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thanks so much for the insight. Um, our next question would be something you've also mentioned. You've mentioned networking a lot, but I would
Yeah.
like us to just clear the ground. What does it really mean? Because people usually misunderstand what networking really is. Some people just think maybe I just need to go to parties, I'll just speak with people and all. What does it really mean? And how can we build healthy network people or network with right people around us?
Okay, yeah, that's a very interesting question. And to be fair, if you look at network can be looked at from a different variety of ways, right? But it's just more of expanding your how will I call it now? Your reach in terms of people.
Circle.
Yeah, circle, right?
Mhm.
And how do you do that is identifying the kind of circle of people you want around. Like, what are the things you are interested in? Look for, what's it called, event
Mhm.
around it, right? Look for event around it where you know that when you can see thought leadership, people that have done well in this field that you could relate with, right? Very importantly, right, it's just more about expanding your reach in terms of people and all. And I know that people say sometimes, like, there's a quote around saying that how how your future will be is I think is a what of the network of people you have, or how strong your network is, right? Typically,
The five
right? So
people
when
you
we
have around you define you or something.
yeah, so like, for me, to define a proper networking is more around you putting yourself out there. One, it's not just about going for events, right? It's also about you curating an environment that people want to really relate with you. For example, you can using a
Mm.
space like LinkedIn, right? What are your thoughts about some topics you could share? Like, you could be sharing your thoughts, and then before you know it, people are actually, people that that find interest in that thing you're sharing will start relating with you, and everything. And you also can
Mm.
start seeing things around those topics. So the point is not just you receiving or you just going for events and everything. No, also you can also share your thoughts on like different platforms, right? And that's how you curate your own kind of network, because people can then start getting attracted to your thoughts about what
Mm.
you're saying. So yeah, I think networking is diverse.
Mm.
Is of you going out for events, and also is also for of you curating an environment for people where they could also relate with you, or they could easily assess and know what you stand for, right? And they could relate
Mm.
with it, and then connect with you on a more better level. Yeah, that's what I would say it is.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I think from that your question, I'm going to ask, how do you think people can position themselves for opportunities like internships or jobs? I intentionally asked this question because I know you've mentioned it from your previous answer. You mentioned LinkedIn and creating a space, but I just want us to specifically mention how people can position themselves for internship, for opportunities, especially in Nigeria that we are in right now.
Yeah, they said information is key. Like, information is power, right? If you don't know,
Yeah.
of course you don't, right? So, like you said, like I said earlier, right? Being on some specific platforms will really prepare you well. Like, for example, like LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn is a space I really love, right? And I think a lot of people have different
Mm.
opinion about it, but like, I really like that place because I think it really, it gives you perspective into many places, like where you don't even. I
Mm.
mean, places that you don't even know you could even have insight of, like where you could even see opportunities, right? That's one, right? But also, people need to be open-minded, right? For you're looking for opportunity, right? Ask questions, ask people, right? ask people that have done it before. Where can you get opportunities, right? Speak up. And I used to say something that there is no harm in asking questions, right? If you are the one that are looking for a job or something, ask people questions. People that have done it well, just ask them. Oh, sorry, I know you're doing this. How did you do it? How did you get this job? They will tell you. They will tell you how they've gone about it. It's going to be different from how someone
Okay.
else go about it. Also, you start curating those knowledge base, and that's how you are going to be forming how you can, be applying, or how you can be structuring
Hmm.
your career journey. So for me, people going on LinkedIn, going on different other there are a lot of other platforms anyways, and also sometimes curate what kind of job do you want. So you could go to the company's website directly, right? There are also career there are all these various career fairs that is being done, right? Some are being held in Lagos and different places. If just putting yourself out there and being updated about
Yeah.
it. For example, internship, there is SEO, and that's a very strong institution, right, that actually get people internship right from Nigeria into the UK, right? And they don't just get you small
Wow.
one, they get you internship with one of the biggest investment bank in the world. Like when you talk about the Goldman Sachs, or you could talk about the JP Morgan, or you talk about the Deutsche Bank, right? And that's it. So, but people don't know. If you don't know, you don't know, right? So,
Mhm.
what I'm saying is, people just need to be able to open themselves up to like different platforms and get information, right? Ask questions, critical questions, right? And before you know it, yeah, you're gonna
Mm.
get you would also get your own piece of cake. I call it, but like in the
Mm.
whole thing. So, yeah, I think that's the way I think one can go about it.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for your insight so far. And the next question I would like to ask is, what were the challenges you faced and how were you able to navigate? The way you've been telling us your story, it has been sounding like it has been a smooth ride, and it's just like, I want to do this, and you got this. And what were the
Eh,
challenges that you personally faced, and how were you able to solve them or navigate them?
Okay, yeah, thanks so much for that question. Yeah, very, very true. I mean, my journey was not been very easy like that. Maybe if it sounds like that, it wasn't. I mean, like I said, right? I mean, when I was in uni, in my 200 level, I then started having difficulty to pay my school fee, right? So I couldn't pay, right?
Mm,
It was and I don't know how it was gonna happen, right? So, but because when I entered uni, I was like, I already set my mind on, I'm just here for study. So, and I set my goal. So yes, I was, yeah, the best in my department and faculty at that time, which was the only thing that got me that sponsorship. Sorry, that got me that sponsorship. Anyways,
mm,
which I got the scholarship, right? So, and but before I got the scholarship, I was like, maybe I was gonna drop out, or something, right? But thanks to God, I was able to get a scholarship, and I navigated that. But it didn't end there, right? Even in uni, but that was. But I mean, talking about my professional certification also. I mean, I couldn't pay for my school fees, so of course I can't pay for my professional certification.
mm.
So I had to hold on my professional certification until I finished my uni, right? And then because one of my lecturer really liked me, which was the Dr. Shoyemi I mentioned, and it was like it was going to pay for my ICANN skills level, right?
Wow.
And but he said he was going to pay for the exam, which was good. But because there was no tuition, so I just had to lock myself up in a particular place in Ijebu that time for like 3 months just to study. So I was just there locked up reading for 3 months. So like few weeks to the exam, I called Doctor or the doctor, my lecturer, right, and he was like he had a family issue and he couldn't pay. I'm like, okay, wait, I'm already ready for exam. I can
Wow.
write the exam right now, but like, okay, what's going to happen? That day
Wow.
I walked with my leg for like 2 hours. I was just walking beside the road in Djibouti because I don't know. I was like, 3 months of my life, I was just locked up here to come and study. But like, so what's going to
Okay.
happen? So, but I don't
Mm.
know. Just lucky. So it all just came to my mind. I just called one of my uncle and just said I should send my account number right there, and he sent the money. I was shocked.
Wow.
But like, but yeah, but this was my uncle that I've never spoken to like forever, right? So,
Mm,
but I just knew it was God. But like, yeah, but I'm saying this because it wasn't as that rosy, right? So, and then
mm,
getting a job also, like I told you, I was working. I walked the street of Marina, right? I was working because I don't know where I was going to get job. They just gave me an offer of a
Mm,
30K job. I was like, what? I'd finish school. I'll come and do 30K job in
mm,
in Lekki. So I like, no. So I was working so dejected going home that day, and I just walk
mm,
into that office. I don't know anybody there, and I dropped my CV. So, and yeah, and God having it, I got my first job through that, right? So it has been different, milestones. So it has not been easy. But one thing I know is, I mean, determination is very key, right? Being determined, being, you know, um, knowing that you believe in the future, that of course you've not seen it, but you know that the future is going to be bright, and putting the work
mm,
right, and not just putting the work in isolation, but asking the right questions, taking the necessary step. Because do you know, funny how the CEO that called me for my first job, right? We still have a very good relationship now. When he came to the UK
wow.
recently, he called me, we met up, we even took, yeah, I posted him on my LinkedIn. It's on my LinkedIn, right? I have a write up about him on my LinkedIn, right? And it was like what got him first interested about me was that who would have just walked into a building and just go and submit CV? He said that was the first thing that intrigued him before he even looked at my CV, and that was it. So
Mm,
yeah, the tenacity. I think people need to be tenacious. Like they don't
mm,
have to bring it to you. You need to just go for it, go get it. And but at the same time, don't just be tenacious without equipping yourself, right? Equip yourself, make sure you are ready for the opportunity, prep yourself up, and then go for it. Yeah, I think that's what I
mm.
would essentially say.
Wow, 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 wow. I am so inspired. Thank you so much. And what is one mistake that you think young professionals commonly make? Like, have you? I believe you have young professionals around you. What is that thing that you've commonly seen them do, and how can we avoid it? Or upcoming professionals, how can they avoid it? What is that one mistake they commonly make?
Okay, yeah. In terms of mistakes, I mean, we do make mistakes, anyways. Even professionals that are very experienced still make mistakes,
Mm.
right? But I think um, not one of the maybe typical one might be not giving to learning, right? Of course, you are in a
Mm,
space. Give yourself opportunity to learn, absorb, like ready to learn, ready to absorb as much as you can, because you don't know when opportunities are going to come, right? Because and then not just be lackadaisical. Yeah, because sometimes you could be in a structured organization and you feel like, okay, that's how it is, and then everything's just flowing and you're just flowing in the air. You're just floating rather. No, you need to be ready to absorb. You're ready to learn, ready to unlearn
mm,
things, and then prepare yourself for opportunities you don't even know, because you don't know when it's going to come, right? So, and I think that's one thing,
mhm,
because we're not more in a state where you just stay somewhere and just working, and that's where it is. There is a lot of opportunities out there, right? That because of
mhm,
just being lackadaisical, you might miss out on. So it is very important as a young professional, right, that you're starting out. Anywhere you find yourself, absorb as much as you can. Learn, be inquisitive.
mm,
Like go for it. If they're asking people who can do this particular, raise up your hand, even though you don't know it a lot. Raise up your hand, learn in the process. And then before you know it, you're going to become an expert in it. And that's going to prepare you for the next opportunity that you don't even know that is coming. So I think that's one thing I really, advise people on, right? To always ready to learn and go for,
absolutely.
yeah. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I mean, this has just been a conversation that is just so interesting. And I must say that you really, really know how to communicate your thoughts so well. Just,
thank
it's like coming at me like real. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much. I was going to ask what it means to build a career that truly matters. When you want to build a career, what are the things you need to look for and to tell yourself that, oh, this is a career that I am building? I'm not just getting into anything I feel seems okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, thanks, Miracle. That was actually an amazing question. Right. Yeah, yeah. We as an individual, I think it will be quite you know, you'll be doing yourself a disfavor, right? Just entering into a career, without a particular, thing in mind. Right. I think but the major thing is, thinking about impact, right? For me, I mean, I
Mm,
think you need to quite what exactly in this career that you're actually entering into, right? What kind of impact do you want to make, right? Do you want to be, for example, you could be someone that you want to be a top voice in your industry, and then you want to use that as a platform or as an opportunity, to impact other people, right? You just want to know, you should be coming from an angle of like, this career I want to really be in, right? I'm entering it because of this specific impact I want to make. In the
Mm,
beginning, it might not be so clear, right? You shouldn't,
mm,
because at the early phase, you are still very young. You are still with, even even I myself, I'm still learning and unlearning every day, right? So,
absolutely.
you know, I wouldn't say that you should have everything figured out in the beginning, but like, you should come even when you don't have everything figured out. You should still be looking at every decision you are making from an angle of impact, right? How do I want to make impact, to the environment around me, right?
Mm,
And for example, I have a lot of people that are into consulting space, right, where audit or anything, but beyond that, they use that experience, right, to either some they do mentorship for other people based on the experience that they are gathering, based on their career, right. It's just, we should think beyond ourselves, right? I think that's the main important
mm,
thing, right? What you're deciding beyond yourself, think about your family, where you're coming from, right? What legacy do you want to leave behind? And I think it's very important. The question is,
mm,
what legacy do you want to leave behind, right?
mm.
Beyond just the 9 to 5 job, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? And I think it's very, very important. So, and if you can answer that question, right, and I think you should be fine, and in terms of decisions that you make in a career that you want to, but also ask yourself questions. What are the things that interest you? Of course, it's not only things that interest you that you do as a career, but like, you also need to be sure that deep down, even if it is not the topmost things that interest you, but like deep down, there's still an interest somewhere about what you are deciding to do. Because or
Mhm,
else you're gonna one is gonna be living a miserable life. You just go to work and
mhm.
then you just like
You're living your
but
life for someone.
yes, so find interest, and I think it's create interest. Yes, maybe that's the word. Create interest in that which you are doing. It's very important. So yeah, I think that's how I would answer that question, and I see anyone to yeah, how I would advise anyone to navigate it. Yeah.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much. I would like to ask, what guiding principles have helped you sustain excellence over the years? Over the years, from school down to your present career phase. What are the principles that have helped you so far?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Really, like for the question you asked, right? I think what has been really guiding me more is the principle of it's not really, I won't call it like a kind of principle, like a word of principle, but it's more like, if it has been done before, it can be replicated,
Mm,
right? And what do I mean? And one, it will start from me. I'm like, if I replicated excellence before, either from secondary school or uni, I can replicate it in my workspace.
mm,
Now, beyond that, I can replicate it in other spheres of my life. So, and I think that is, and I mean, even scripturally, and I don't want to sound so biblical. If you look at, David, right? When like, and when they're talking about Goliath, he said, "I've done it in the bush. He has already been killing lions and everything. So who is this one I cannot do?" The point is, sometimes, ability to recognize that, because you are an excellent person, right?
mm,
You can always replicate it in every space that you are in, and I think it's very important. So that
mm,
is why, for me, my major principle is identifying my strength, right? Playing to it and using that to gain strength, so that that will be a strength for my next, trial, or for my next, adventure, right? Because, when I know that I've played to my strength and I've, done something well, because I've done it well, I know that if I face something new again, right, I can navigate to do well. Of course, it might not necessarily be okay in the beginning, right? It might not necessarily be perfect in the beginning, but I know that I would surely get to the end and get it done well. So,
mm,
you know, one, believing in yourself is very important. Believing in your strength, right? Identifying, that strength itself, right? At the same time, your area of weaknesses, see how you could, interplay it with maybe how you could either reduce the impact of those weaknesses on the overall
mm,
result, because everybody
yeah.
have weaknesses, right? So try to see how you could, reduce the impact of your weakness in the overall result, or what you're trying to. For example, it doesn't mean that you don't identify the weaknesses. Either you're going to bring people in to help you, right, to navigate those area of weaknesses around that period, right? I think so. That's what for me, to replicate excellence is more about those things I talked about. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, I hope that answer
Wow.
your question.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. I would like us now to be more practical, to help young adults and students. And I have three questions on that. And the first one is, what is that one book? Like, I want us to generalize it now. I want
Okay.
us to generalize it. Let's think of students, let's think of people just getting in, or let's even think of professionals that are already in the field. What is that one book that you feel everyone should read?
Hmm. Okay, there are different there are various books for different reasons, but like for everyone, I think for me, Rich Dad Poor Dad was a very good book for me,
Mhm.
right?
Definitely.
And yeah, because there's a lot about perspective and how you see things from different lens. So yeah, I think that, I mean, yeah, it would be a good read. But
Mhm.
like, I mean, there are also different books for like, navigating relationship.
Mhm.
For example, emotional intelligence as an individual, as a young professional, is good
Mhm.
because those are things that will help you understand how you relate with people, right, in the
Mm.
workspace, right? So, emotional intelligence is a good book to read. Yeah, so I think those two books for me, Rich Dad Poor Dad, in terms of perspective, right, and which will also show you, how you could see life, prosperity and all those kind of things, and then emotional intelligence, how you relate to people and other things. Yeah, I think those are like, yeah, recommended books I could,
Yeah.
unless I
What
hope
about
that.
skills? What about skill? What is that one skill you would say everyone should have?
Hmm. Wow. Okay, that's a very that's a very because I mean because a lot of skills are kind of like, there are different skills for different reasons, right?
Yeah.
But I think one of the important skills an individual can have, right, is ability to, I think ability to relate with people and ability to
Mm.
relate to people. Like your interpersonal skills is very important, and ability to be able to put yourself out there. The two together is one. I'm seeing
Mm-hmm.
it as one because like you relating with people and they strategically position yourself, in people's mind at every point in time. Of course, not like you are just, manipulating people's mind, but like you are, of course, you relate to people very well, but at the same
Yeah.
time, you strategically position yourself in people's mind at every
Yeah.
point in time. Is very good. Those two skills, I think, is very important as an individual, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you. And what is that one piece of career advice you wish someone had told you earlier? Do you have,
Okay.
like, at the early stage of your career, what's that one piece of advice that if you someone just say, why don't you do this? It will
Okay.
be
Yes. Okay. I know I didn't say this earlier when I was talking about a degree and all, but this one is maybe more specific to my profession, right?
Mhm.
At the point I got to know that, for example, in my profession, you could actually even enter some of these big four without degree, but by true ACCA certification. And in my mind, I'm like, I just wish someone told me earlier. Like, I would
Oh,
have just started my career and maybe started working in like a big four at the age of maybe like 20 or something. I don't know. And or maybe like even 19, and then I don't know where I would have been now, But you get, I think that is from career angle actually, right? If I have, but now I do tell people early, right? There are there are there's different ways to achieving many things. You just need to ask questions. Ask people that have done it before. N- Now they're going to tell you things not because they've done it before, but because they either they didn't do it, but they've gotten new knowledge of how you could actually do it better, right? So,
Mhm.
and I think that's very important. Like, ask more questions, make use of the people around you, their
Mhm.
knowledge, their experience. Tap into
Mhm.
it, right? And I think that you know and also maybe another thing is because I know when I was in uni, one of my ideas is I don't want to engage with people, and I think that was a wrong mindset, right? And I think
Mhm.
if I'd had someone tell me earlier, right, that you need to curate, putting yourself like I think my advice, I said, put yourself in people, strategically in people's mind, right? Establishing good relationship and strong relationship, right? And I think
Mm,
it's very important. So right from the beginning, I think is a skill that everybody really needs to always exhibit, right?
mm.
Yeah, that's all. That's
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, um, I don't even know if I should still ask the question because what you just mentioned now, it's more like it has answered the question. I was going to ask if you had to speak to a young person about their future, what advice or what would you say? If someone just comes to you and say, you just need to speak to me about my future, what would you say?
okay. One is that your future is full of possibilities. Like it's full of
Mhm,
like hundred thousands and millions of possibilities, and it only takes you to either navigate it properly or just choose not to, right? What I'm saying is you decide the kind of future you have, right?
mm,
So what I would tell a young person is sit yourself down, reflect. What kind of future do you want to have? Right? It doesn't mean that even when you sit down and you reflect, you've gotten it all figured out, but you can know how to start. Because when you ask that question, then you take a step back. Okay, how do I start? And then when you start, before you know it, you can now see it build up and it's keep building up. And like, oh wow, I didn't know I could achieve this, and you get better. So what I would achieve someone setting out is you
mm,
have like there's millions or billions of you know kind of future you can have, but you are the only one that can limit yourself. So set
mm.
out, sit down, reflect, and then set out, and then you'll be fine. And yeah,
Wow,
relate to
thank you
people.
so much.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you so much. I mean, you've answered all of my questions, and even more questions I had. So I don't know if you have one or two other things to mention before we, end the live session today.
yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much, actually, for giving me this opportunity to really. It's really a privilege and an honor. But I think the only thing I want to say is just to anyone young out there is where you where you're coming from shouldn't limit you, right?
Mm,
I'm sure if you're seeing him about, I mean, I'm the first um university graduate in my family, but like you can only, like I said in my last response, is you are the only one that can limit the extent of how far you can go, right?
mm,
If you can just give yourself opportunity to think out of the box, to be ready to see. And I'll tell you, when I was in uni, I think just a small example I just want to bring in. When I was in uni, the first time I came, I had to use my last card, like my last money I have on me, to travel from Ogun State to Lagos, to Victoria Island, to come and just view and see those high buildings, high structures, and everything. And that was the first time I saw KPMG and PWC, and I was
wow.
like, I'm going to work in one of these companies. What that thing did to
Mm,
me that day was it helped my mind, and I'm like, this, I belong here. I want to be here. And thank God today I worked in those two companies, and yeah. So one thing is you need to give yourself opportunity to see things, like
mm,
help your mind envision different things. You could, even if it takes you to take your last card, go to places, place that you've heard about that has great opportunities. Go there and go and see it. Let your mind be fed. Feed your
mm,
eyes so that your mind can comprehend and can see
mm,
the various opportunities that are available for you. And I think that's what I can advise anyone, right, to do. And then take action, ready to learn from people, connect with people, network with people, and then yeah, and be
mm,
tenacious. Yeah.
mm. I wanted to end the live session, but I think a question came to mind now. Where are we going to, or how can we balance hard skill, the place of hard skill and soft skill? Like, most of our parents while growing up, they'll tell you, learn hairdressing, learn bakery, catering, and all like that. And to some extent, if you know what you want to do, you might tell yourself that what I so much need are these soft skills and all like that. How do you balance it? Do you feel we should leave one for one, or we should still do the two?
No, I don't think you should leave one for the. They are one. They are. How will I call it? They don't. You don't have to leave one for another. They are mutually exclusive, but they can actually be co. They can coexist, right? And I think
Mm,
in this life that we have now, right, we're coming to a point where people. It's sometimes when you are doing stuff with your hand, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you're
mhm.
achieving things. So those skills
Yeah.
are very good, right? So, and I think sometimes because I didn't have couple of them, so I used to feel like I used to feel bad. Like I think I need to learn, and to be fair, I think I'm going to learn one of it because it feels good. There was a point I started learning how to even bar people so on the air because I've tried it with a couple of my friends before, right? I think it feels good when you see that you could do stuff with your hand and you achieve something. So it doesn't still take away your soft skills, ability to talk to, relate with people, ability to they are
Absolutely.
good together and they can work together. So I don't think you should take one above what's it called of the other. You can actually make the two coexist. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Yomi. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate your time
Thank
with
you.
us. Thanks for the insights. Thanks for sharing your experiences. I mean, it's such a
Yeah.
wealth of wisdom that we've learned from you.
Thank
And
you.
I'm sure that next time when we bring you, you're going to, gladly come to share more with us. Thank you so
Thank
much. And to everyone who joined this live podcast, we are saying thank you. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to follow us. And don't forget to subscribe because we can promise you that each value or each content we are going to be providing here on Tribe Circle is going to be value. So always look out for our podcasts, look out for our programs, look out for our conferences. You wouldn't want to miss out. Thank you so much and have a great day ahead.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.